passenger jet making an emergency landing in Salt Lake City. Pilots on a Southwest Airlines flight turning back after those flames were seen shooting from an engine. Here's ABC's David Curley tonight.
Look at the right side of that jet. Flames shooting out of the engine every 5 seconds. On board, even more dramatic moments after the Southwest jet took off.
It's the most scared I've ever been in my life.
Half of me was panicked, the other half of me was just like, get it together.
The pilot of the Salt Lake to LA flight burned off fuel and turned around for an emergency landing.
I don't have any contact indications of fire, so it might just be in the engine. But certainly when we land, we're going to need crash crew.
Fire crews greeting the jet on the ground. What's actually happening here is called a surge or compressor stall. Think of it like a car backfiring.
For students and teachers returning this week to Stoneman Douglas High School,
Coming back to where everything occurred, it's just scary.
there's no such thing as getting back to normal, not after the massacre that left 17 members of their community dead.
We're almost there. We're going to get you in.
This weekend, an orientation for returning students. Their first moments back on campus Sunday felt haunted. The grief and horror are still fresh in Parkland, as they once were in Columbine and Newtown and so many other communities. So many shootings, so little change. Is it naive to hope this might be the Me Too moment for gun violence?
We'll turn our grief into action. We have to have action.
At the White House today, President Trump met with members of the National Governors Association.
I believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too.
Of course, the school resources officer who was there and who did have a weapon did not go in. The president's called him a coward. Today, Scott Peterson, who resigned last week, responded with his side of the story. He and the school security officer ran outside to respond to reports of a firecracker near the building. Once there, they heard gunshots, but believed that those gunshots were originating from outside of any of the buildings on the school campus. After that, the statement says, Peterson did what he was trained to do, taking up a tactical position nearby and coordinating with law enforcement as they arrived. Schools across the country are reviewing their own safety procedures in the wake of Parkland. Today, Nightline was outside St. Louis, where the O'Fallon Police Department has set up a special training room to drill for active shooters.
Show me your hands, go!
You get that adrenaline dump in this because it's as real as it can get.
This scenario was a response to an active shooter in a school.
The authorities here designed this simulation with the company Vertra.
Show me your hands.
They've made modifications after what happened in Parkland.
It's horrible timing, but it was good timing to do this. Because everybody, all police officers right now and law enforcement is in that mindset of training for an active shooter.
Let me see your hands.
In this simulation room, they're able to put an active shooter virtually on the steps of the local high school.
You want to think that could never happen here, but I'm sure that Parkland felt the same way.
The officers wear electronic shockers. If they're hit by gunfire, the shocker goes off.
I was shocked by this, and it hurts. It definitely makes you realize that, it makes this situation even more real.
The challenge for the officers to disable the shooter and stay alert.
A hug between brother and sister after a life-saving app they created together has brought them closer.
I feel like it was a burden lifted off my chest and shoulders, and I'm able to live more freely now.
16-year-old Hannah Lucas from Georgia has a heart condition called POTS that causes her to feel dizzy and lightheaded. She struggled in school from it so much that last year she developed depression.
I started self-harm because I didn't know a way to reach out, and I isolated myself from my friends for a long time.
Hannah and her 13-year-old brother Charlie came up with an app to alert someone in case of an emergency. It's called Not Okay. All you do is push a button and it pings the user's GPS location. It took Charlie months to develop it.
Hey, I thought I couldn't help her, but now I can. And now I can actually make a difference in other people's life. It's just been awesome so far.
More than 6,000 people have downloaded the app, which costs $2.99, less than a cup of coffee. For her success, Hannah and Charlie were nominated for a special tech award. Hannah even spoke on a panel to share her story.
I'm speechless sometimes when when I see what they're doing, what they've done.
While Hannah still has POTS, she's relieved to know someone is always close by if she needs help, and that she and her brother are helping others too.
At the top of the world, on a frozen island called Svalbard, there's an underground bunker called the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, more commonly known as the Doomsday Vault. In that Doomsday Vault, there are lots and lots of frozen seeds of crops from all over the world, just in case humanity ever needs to start over. Last week, the vault added 2 types of forest tree, the Norway spruce and the Scots pine. The vault was opened in 2008, the product of a collaboration between 2 conservation groups, the Global Crop Diversity Trust and the Nordic Genetic Resource Center, along with the Norwegian government, which footed the $9 million construction bill. It's the brainchild of a handful of conservationists, including Carrie Fowler, who explained the need for the vault in a 2009 TED Talk.
In recent years, we lost the gene bank, the seed bank in Iraq and Afghanistan. You can guess why. We needed a really safe place, and we went quite far north to find it.
Fowler argues preserving biodiversity in plants, especially in agricultural plants, is just as important as preserving biodiversity in animals. The basic argument is, in the face of climate change, the more diversity, the more resilient the agriculture, because some seeds that aren't economical now may be better equipped to withstand challenges in the future, or vice versa. The vault expects more tree seed donations from participating countries, all of which retain ownership of the seeds they donate.
Up to 1 million more cars could be recalled over faulty airbags. More than 3 million Australian cars have already been recalled over the potentially deadly devices, which have claimed 23 lives and caused hundreds of injuries worldwide.
It's the best interest of the customer. This is pretty important. The impact is quite severe.
A decision on the recall will be made shortly.
There is also news tonight on the Russia investigation, and after the memo written by Republicans in the House, now the Democratic response released. The president responding by calling into a cable show Saturday night. And tonight, here, the new fallout. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas tonight.
Tonight, House Democrats say they've soundly refuted a Republican memo claiming anti-Trump bias at the heart of the Russia investigation. But President Trump says the Democrats' memo only reinforces what Republicans had already found.
Certainly the memo was a nothing. A lot of bad things happened on the other side. Not on this side, but on the other side.
The Republican memo, drafted by the staff of House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, a close Trump ally, concluded the Justice Department acted improperly in obtaining a secret surveillance warrant against former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page.
To have a secret court that gets abused like this is totally unacceptable.
But in their rebuttal memo, Democrats say the FBI made only narrow use of Steele's information, obtaining the warrant against Page after information obtained through multiple independent sources corroborated Steele's reporting about him. Those sources seemingly redacted here for security reasons. Democrats also find that Justice Department officials repeatedly informed the court about Steele's background, credibility, and potential bias against Trump.
Republicans argue the Steele dossier is at the heart of the Russia investigation. But in this memo, Democrats try to make it clear that the FBI started investigating well before the FBI even saw the dossier.
That's right, David. The Democrats say the FBI launched their investigation a full 7 weeks before they were even made aware of the Steele dossier.
Deadly storm system, at least 8 people killed. A dozen confirmed tornadoes hitting 4 states, including Alberton, Kentucky. The picture's right there. Many communities underwater tonight as we now track a new system moving into the east. ABC's Marcus Moore from the storm zone tonight.
Tonight, millions reeling from a weekend tornado outbreak and severe flooding. Residents frantically digging through debris of this Clarksville, Tennessee home. Pleasure Away and his wife huddling in their bathtub.
My wife was terrified. She crying. I'm terrified because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether it was coming back again.
This as at least 70 rivers across the heartland are at or above flood stage, with more rain on the way. Here in Paducah, Kentucky, they are fighting, installing these floodgates for the first time in 7 years as the Ohio River continues to rise. Saturated ground in the northeast causing this massive rock slide outside Huntington, West Virginia. And tonight, back here in Kentucky, they are keeping a very close eye on the Ohio River, which is about a mile from where I'm standing right now, in one of the many roads left impassable because of the high water. David.
Most parents will tell you they're forever trying to wrestle mobile phones off teenagers, but now some have had enough. They're turning to a group of former Australian soldiers to snap their teens out of the virtual world with a big dose of reality.
An uphill battle in many family homes. This is the new front in the war on teens and screens.
1, 2, 3, 1!
A 9-day boot camp.
Left, right, left.
Your bag, text her, put it inside, put your name on it.
We have kids coming in that are lacking self-confidence, addicted to technology.
Kids like Wiley Hill, who's got his head in his phone for up to 5 hours a day.
Every morning we wake up at 6 o'clock, make our beds, and we have to polish our boots, iron our clothes.
No ifs, no buts. In charge, a troop of former Australian fighters who bring some big military might and important life lessons.
Doing real stuff, forming real relationships, not this stuff they're doing on a screen.
I've realised that I don't really need it.
At more than $4,000, this teen tech detox isn't cheap. As for results, hold the phone. Psychologists are following up on that right now.
It's very tough for the participants, and that's why it's effective. If it wasn't tough, it wouldn't work.
Giving tech-addicted teens a lesson in tough love. Helen Wellings, 7 News.